There is an uncomfortable silence that almost no one admits. The feeling of not being enough without the approval of others. We live in a time where everything can be seen. Thoughts become posts. Moments become content. Feelings become something to share. And little by little, life stops being lived and starts being displayed. Validation has become currency. Likes, comments, views, small external signals that say, you matter. But the problem is not these signals. It is the dependence on them. When your sense of worth starts depending on the reactions of others, you lose something essential: emotional autonomy. You no longer feel for yourself. You feel based on feedback. If they approve, you expand. If they ignore, you question yourself. And so, your identity becomes unstable. The search for validation did not begin with the internet. It began long before, in the need to belong, in the desire to be accepted, in the fear of rejection. From an early age, we learn that being accepted is safe and being rejected hurts. So we adapt to environments, to expectations, to opinions. But by doing this repeatedly, we begin to drift away from who we truly are. External validation starts replacing inner truth. You choose what pleases. You say what others expect to hear. You show what gains approval, and you hide the rest. Over time, a void appears, because even when you are accepted, deep down, you know you are not being fully real. And so the search intensifies. More validation, more recognition, more proof that you are enough. But it is never satisfied, because external validation is unstable by nature. It depends on other people's moods, on context, on algorithms, on timing. Today you are seen, tomorrow forgotten. And when your worth depends on that, your peace depends on it too. There is a silent cycle. You seek validation, receive it, feel temporary relief, lose it, seek again. And it repeats, not because you are weak, but because you were conditioned to look outside for what must be built within. Validation is not the problem. We all need at some level to be acknowledged. The problem is when it becomes the foundation of your identity, when you cannot decide without asking, when you cannot act without approval, when you cannot feel okay without being seen. At that point, you stop living your life and start performing it. But there is a way back, and it begins with a simple yet uncomfortable question. If no one were watching, would I still do this? That question reveals a lot. It reveals what is authentic and what is conditioned. Building inner validation is not immediate. It is a process. It requires silence. It requires observing yourself without distraction. It requires holding your decisions even without applause. It requires tolerating the discomfort of not pleasing everyone. But little by little, something changes. You begin to feel more stable, less dependent, less reactive. You can still be recognized, but you no longer need it to feel whole. And that is a rare kind of freedom. Because when you are not dependent on constant validation, you can finally be real. And perhaps in the end, the point is not to stop seeking validation, but to stop forgetting that your worth cannot be defined by those who are watching, but by who you are when no one is.